How's it going, everyone? It's Avi from Weatherspoon 5000, and I know why you guys clicked on this video, as your question is when exactly is this historic Northeast blizzard gonna affect the Northeast, and how bad will this exactly be? I'm gonna answer that question, but before we start, I'm gonna go over what's going on in the Northeast, and before I begin with that, I want you guys to click that subscribe button for more weather-related videos, but let's get started right here. So this is the current radar right now. Actually, let me play the loop so you guys know, so you guys get a better picture of where exactly the snow showers and the rain showers are at and have been for the past 3 hours. And we see a pretty strong line of thunderstorms right around the Albany area. That was just over New Jersey a little earlier today. That brought a heavy amount of rain, probably over an inch in my area, and also brought pretty heavy rain to the Delmarva Peninsula and the eastern portions of Pennsylvania, as there's a little bit of cool air and instability that's inducing a lot of these thunder showers. While they aren't really severe, they have the potential to cause flash flooding, especially in rivers and creeks that are very prone to flash flooding at this point. So if you're around the Massachusetts area, if you're around Vermont, if you're around New Hampshire, I would keep an eye out on that. And even as far south as Hartford, as we see a little bit of thunderstorms starting to develop as we're seeing the rain showers go over the warmer waters of the Atlantic. However, there isn't a ton of instability for this thing to work with, so it isn't very strong. As you can see, there isn't very heavy snow showers. You do see a band of snow showers that's over the Columbus area, right around Fort Wayne, and it's just going towards the east of Chicago at this point, so it is affecting that area. But we do see a small band of snow showers, but it's mostly light to maybe moderate in some areas, as I expect it to weaken as this storm system continues to move further east, and it won't really have much to work with in terms of instability to create a lot of convection within the low pressure. So I'm gonna show the temperature so you guys get the better idea to see how much instability there is. And as you can see, there isn't a lot to work with. There isn't a lot of temperature contrast, a lot of instability for this to work with, because there's a little bit of instability maybe around the Washington area, where if you go probably around 100 miles north, it goes from 30s and maybe to the upper to low 50s around Washington. But overall, this isn't a lot of instability. Usually, what creates strong winter storms is temperatures that are around the 70-degree range in one area and quickly goes down to 30s and 20s in another area. This contrast is mostly between 50 and 30 degrees. So that is barely enough instability to really create a strong storm. So this is why this pretty weak. However, it should dump a decent amount of snow showers right around the upper Adirondacks and maybe portions of Great Lakes region, as this certainly has the possibility to drop a pretty decent amount of snow um um like over the next couple of days after this storm passes around the Great Lakes region, all because of the lake effect snow. And this probably, as of right now, there's a low pressure centered over the Great Lakes. That low pressure system will move east, and as a result, we're gonna see a strong north wind that's gonna bring a lot of the snow showers that's to the north of it currently down towards the Great Lakes, and it will be enhanced by the lakes, some of this snow. So we could see a little bit more snow in the Great Lakes region. However, in outside of that, don't really expect much snow, as I'll show you the current snowfall forecast for the next 24 hours. And yeah, there isn't really much snow, maybe up to 4 inches in isolated areas, but outside of that, it should be mainly 1 to 3 for like maybe the Adirondacks and maybe the upper portions of Maine. So nothing too huge to worry about. There was a little bit of an ice threat that was gonna be worrying, but it wasn't anything big either. However, the biggest thing with this storm might be the flash flooding, so keep an eye out if you're around the Connecticut area and New England in general, because those thunderstorms are dumping a lot of rain at a very fast pace. And how about for the next 5 days, you might be asking. So for the next 5 days, we could have a decent amount of snow, maybe up to 10 inches in the Adirondacks, because like I said, there's that lake effect snow that's gonna come behind this low pressure system as a NAM model suggests. As this storm continues to move north, it's gonna bring like a pretty strong northwest wind over the Great Lakes and bring that snow to Adirondacks. And it'll be more defined in the higher elevations, that accumulation, as we could see up to 10 inches right around this area, right around the Watertown area, and just south of Buffalo, maybe up to 8 inches. So definitely keep an eye out on that. But I also want you guys to take a look at the map, because as you can see, besides the Great Lakes, lake effect snow that we're gonna see from this small winter storm that we're experiencing right now, and the higher elevation snow, which has been pretty normal at this point for the higher elevations, especially the Cascades, there really isn't much that's going to go on this week, at least over the next 5 days. Now, I know that's going to contradict what I said in the video, but what I'm talking about when in the title is beyond 5 days, where we could see, well, I don't want to say could, but there is that possibility we could see a historic blizzard that could affect the Northeast, but it's far too early to really determine that at this point, which is why I'm probably going to put the question mark in the video, because I don't want to really, I'm far from guaranteeing this, but there is some evidence that points to that does point to a potential strong northeast blizzard that could affect the northeast later during the week. So so let me refresh this. Let me go to GFS so you guys get to see the radar and what exactly the GFS is stating. So moving on to precipitation is right now. This won't be anything big, like I said, possibly 10 inches in the Great Lakes region. But after this small snowstorm passes, there's really nothing that's gonna really. It's gonna be a very quiet week over the next 5 days, and for most of the work week, pretty much for pretty much the entire U.S., which is definitely good news. We might see some rain showers towards the southeast, but there's going to be a pretty strong high pressure system that's going to fall down from the north, and it's going to dominate and really like keep a lot of these low pressure systems that would develop into something down south and not really encounter much instability. So a lot of these southern low pressure systems towards the southeast will weaken. So let me show you the first one. There's going to be a first one that goes by Louisiana. It's so weak that it's not even defined in the GFS model. And then eventually it just weakens or combines with a smaller Clipper system out in the ocean. Nothing to worry about besides rain showers in the southeast. And then another low pressure system forms that pretty much develops out of Pacific Northwest storm, and that will move south. But because of this high pressure and just not really any instability for this storm to work with, this is expected to weaken as well, as it just moves just towards the south, towards Florida, and brings a little bit of rain showers. And even the Clipper systems just don't really have any instability to work with, as temperatures are going to be well above average for a lot of the US. So I'm going to show you guys so you guys see how much above average the temperatures are expected to be, and really all the entire US is going to be above average as a result of a high pressure system that's going to dominate and just bring a lot of sunshine to the region. And yeah, there won't really be much of anything for any storm to develop with, not much instability, because most of the US is above average for this time of the year. So and there's no real huge cold front, To further add on to this, if we look at the North American oscillation anomaly, it's at positive, and when it's at positive, that usually means that the conditions are going to be warmer than average for most of the U.S. And in terms of the wintry side of things, it's going to be very quiet. So that's resulting in a very quiet that's going to result in a very quiet week for the US. However, let me now move on to beyond 5 days, which is where things might get a little interesting. So let me go to back to the precip map. So this is as of 5 days from now. So usually I don't like to go beyond the 120-hour forecast hour, because that's when things usually get like too dicey to predict and usually like too far ahead for most meteorologists to predict. I don't claim to be a meteorologist, but but in terms of predicting the weather beyond 120 hours, I don't like to go that route. So take this with a huge grain of salt. However, the only reason why I'm bringing this up is because not only the GFS model is pointing towards a major northeast potentially historic snowstorm, but also the other model, the European, a very reliable model, is also pointing towards that direction. And usually when we see two models in very close agreement with each other, even like 6-7 days from now, it's definitely something to at least point out, because it's no coincidence that both the computer models are saying the same thing, as they do have at least a little bit. It might give the forecast a little bit more credibility when two of the best models are correct. So this is as of hour 168, and we have a 988 millibar storm. So this is about 6 days from now. So it gets a little iffy 6 days, but if we look at the European as well, if we transfer over to European model, which is it as of 168 hours, it's a little slower, but it's evident that it's developing something. We see the cool air just behind it towards the west, which will inevitably like grow this into something that could be huge. And we do have a decent amount of warm air for this low pressure to work with to create convection and potentially a major snowstorm. But going even further, maybe let's say 7 days from now, it also brings it to nearly the exact same point as the GFS does at 164 hours, where and at the exact same millibar pressure too, which is very interesting. The only difference is the timing, where the European's a little slower, the GFS is a little faster. So, but the point is that both of these computer models are developing this, and then this is very iffy, but this is very like far ahead, but this goes down to 952 millibars, which is insane for not only any winter storm, but even like a hurricane season type storm, as that's equivalent to almost a category 4 hurricane right there, which is an insanely low millibar pressure. So yeah, this is definitely something to watch ahead. There's gonna be several questions though, obviously, when we're talking about 6-7 days ahead. So yeah, the GFS also taking a 958 millibar storm right over the northeast. Obviously we can't say the definitive impacts. We can't say who's gonna experience heavy snow, heavy wind, heavy rain. Too far from that. I just want to point out that both the most reliable computer models are pointing towards a historically strong storm in the northeast. So I wouldn't say prepare now, it's too far from that, but just to keep an eye on that. But let's move back to where it gets more reliable. Let's say at farthest 5 days ahead. So 5 days ahead, there isn't really anything that the GFS model is developing just yet. There's a little bit of cool air dropping down towards Texas, towards the south, and that might be the starting ingredients. So, but if we take a look at the European 5 days ahead, also it's around the same thing. So, if we were to take, so if we were to assume that this is a case 5 days from now, then something's gonna develop here. That's at least the most I could say right now, because there's cool air that's gonna drop by, and both the European and GFS are in agreement with that. So some type of low pressure system is gonna develop here. Now the questions, but beyond that, the questions remain whether this high pressure will drop down further south enough for this storm to move up north, or will this high pressure force it, like, or maybe will this high pressure kind of like limit this instability? It's too far to say, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on, because we could see a potentially major storm for the northeast, but take this with a huge grain of salt. But anyways, guys, I guess that's it for this video. As I thank you guys for watching. Again, make sure to click that subscribe button and like button if you want to see more of this. And I hope you guys have a good night. I'm sorry I wasn't back, but yes.